Hello everyone, this is Cooper Powers with Milestone Scholars here. Today we're going to be learning about inequalities, equations, and expressions. So this is going to be probably our first video for Algebra 1. So if your goal is to learn the course, whether you took pre-algebra last year, whether you're reviewing, we welcome you here. Feel free to give a like, comment, or subscribe. We definitely need that constructive criticism. But now let's get on with the video. So an equation is a statement asserting, a statement asserting the equality of two expressions. So essentially like two values are the same. So a potential equation could be x plus 3 equals 15. X here is a variable, I'm going to say var for variable, that can be assigned different quantities. In this case, x has a certain value, and we'll learn how to solve for it in a little bit. An inequality, let's scroll this down. An inequality is like an equation with two values that are unequal. Oh my god, I just spelled inequality wrong. So one side can be greater than the other or less than the other. So the symbols for greater than and less than are these. So this is greater than. I'm going to say GT for greater than and LT for less than. There's also greater than or equal to. And that's shown by the little line under the little arrow. And the way that you can remember these are, you can kind of think of it as like an alligator. Now I'm not going to draw an alligator, but the mouth of sorts eats the larger number. So that's basically how you can remember inequalities. So an example of a couple inequalities might be x is greater than 5 or x is less than 7. So the nice thing about this, we'll learn about number lines a little bit later, but these two expressions can be combined as, in this case, they don't necessarily violate one another. We'll talk a little bit about that in another video. But the way that you would combine them is x is less than 7, but is greater than 5. So it looks kind of like this right here. And that's just a way to combine two different inequalities into one statement. And next, let's talk about expressions. So, in fact, let me erase all of this right here to give some space. Okay. Expressions are a symbol or collection of symbols that represent a quantity. So it's kind of like one side of an equation without a sign. Expressions can be simplified as well, which is what we're going to be talking about today. So let's take x squared plus 2x squared plus 5 minus 7, for example. This expression is pretty long, and what we can do is simplify it. So that means we can combine like terms. But what are like terms? So, for example, these x squareds are like terms, and these whole numbers are also like terms. Essentially, it's a little bit hard to explain, but some x to a certain power, for example, which is a variable to a certain power, they all have the same, they're like terms. So x and is one order, and then x squared is another, and then x to the 0, anything to the 0 you might have learned is 1, which is similar to these different number values. Anyways, if you want to combine this expression here, basically you add the coefficients on the x squareds. So this is actually 1x squared, so that would give you 3x squared, and then you just know how to do basic arithmetic by now, so that is negative 2. So you get 3x squared minus 2, that is your final answer. So now let's try, we're not going to, actually no, we are trying another one really quickly. So try this on your own. I encourage you to pause the video. Try this solution, and this one combines different types of terms. So it's the same process though. You want to add the coefficients, and you also want to keep in mind the constants. So pause the video now and try it out on your own, and I'll go over it. So we're adding 5 plus 2 times x squared, and 5 plus 1 times x minus 3, which gives you your grand final equation of 7x squared plus 6x minus 3. Let me just check that that's correct. Yes, that is. So there's your solution there. Now let's segue a little bit, and we're going to learn how to make equations using diagrams. Now this one's a little bit interesting. You can essentially, a way to visualize equations is kind of like using a number line looking thing. So remember we used x plus 3 equals 15 earlier. So say this is 3, this is x. This entire length is 15. Now, you have to establish that the x and the 3 are equivalent to the whole length, which is 15. So essentially, what you have to do is you have to add, this term and this term, and set them equal to this term. So that equation would be x plus 3 equals 15. Now, we'll figure out how to solve this later, but I just wanted to let you know that that is how you can set up some equations. Using diagrams is actually a very essential skill in math, and you'll realize that later on that sometimes drawing a diagram can really help you, especially in Algebra 1. Yeah, so now we're going to work on finding out whether a given point is a solution for a given equation. So this one uses the scale of substitution. So say we're given a point 5, 2. By the way, when you're looking at points, this is the x value, and this is the y value. So say we're given the point 5, 2, and we have this equation y equals x squared. Now we need to determine, is this true? So first what we want to do is, you can substitute in different values. So if this is our x value, we want to substitute that in for x and our y value for y. So that would give us 2 equals 5 squared. And 5 squared is 25. So does 2 equal 25? Our answer is no. And just to emphasize that, I'm going to draw in red. Going to draw a big red outline around it, because it is not true. So let's try one on our own. Given the point 3, 4, oh my gosh, that does not look good, 4, and this equation, y plus 8 equals x plus 5, is this true? Now please pause your video and try and work it out. So starting it in, we want to substitute in our values. So let's do that. Your x value is 3, so you have 3. Okay, you know what? I'm going to make sure they're on the same side. So you have 4 plus 8 equals 3 plus 5. Does 12 equal 8? 12 does not equal 8, so this is not true. So thank you so much for tuning into this video. In the next video, we're going to work on solving basic equations and looking at word problems, and we might get into the properties of equality and distribution. And these are key tools that will help you understand how to use your basic arithmetic skills in a way, where you can manipulate variables and solve for them. So thank you so much for watching this video. We at Milestone Scholars really appreciate it. So I hope you have an amazing day, and thank you so much for watching.